Hey, this is Matt once again. We're about to another video, and this is a paid request for Flonzobomb. Thank you so much for that. He does have a few others to get to, and it may take a while before I get to those, but figured I'd at least do this one. And it's for Johnny Firecloud, a 1975 film. And before I go on, if anyone wants to request any other type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, tier lists, rankings, video game playthroughs, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a CashApp as well. Links are down below in the info box. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And for those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this is for... Well, this is for... Yeah, I already said it before. Johnny Firecloud. Now, this is a film that I had heard of before. I cannot remember which movie trailer compilation it was. But I remember, I don't know if it was 42nd Street Forever, if it was something else, but I remember seeing this trailer and going, okay. That great, it's one of those things, if you saw the trailer, you saw the best parts of the movie, the longer trailer, which, I mean, trailers at times were 3 minutes or so long at that time period. So it pretty much sold the best. It sold and showed the best parts. But it is a revenge movie. Gets a bit violent in the third act with some of the killings, and has a little bit of resemblance to First Blood. Before First Blood, has a little bit of a Death Wish feel to it. Among other vigilante stuff, or I shouldn't say vigilante, more revenge stuff. The reason I say First Blood is because it's about a Vietnam vet that comes back, and then, you know, things aren't working the best out. He's being treated fairly poorly. And that's Johnny Firecloud, played by Victor Mohica. Which is funny because in real life the actor's Puerto Rican. Puerto Rico. Not Native American at all. So I guess, you know, they couldn't find a Native American to be the lead, but, you know, that's sometimes just how it worked back in the day. Pretty much, long story short, he, like I said, was in Vietnam for a while. He's come back to this, I would say, shithole podunk of a place, and this guy named Colby runs the area, and he's a racist piece of trash. His men are racist pieces of trash. One of them is George Buck Flower, who I recognized because he was in They Live, he was in Back to the Future, he was the bum. You see him a few times, one or two times in Back to the Future, one or two, or both. He was in The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog. He was one of the people on the boat that to get killed by the pirate ghosts. Anyway, you've seen him. So he's in it sporadically. He's not one of the main henchmen. But they give people who are Native Americans trouble. There's this older guy, older chief, who they embarrass, humiliate, get him to dance in the bar. And Johnny Firecloud ain't having that shit, and tries to leave, and they try to fight him, and you get this bit of a bar fight. And then in comes in the sheriff, this guy named Jesse. Now, Jesse is a character, I would say a pretty interesting character, because he's under the thumb of Colby. So he's kind of like a lapdog, but at the same time, there's a bit of care he has with Johnny Firecloud. But at the same time, he's still working for... And you find out why in a bit. And the reasons why and what some of that character goes through internally is definitely one of the more intriguing things of the movie. That I give credit to, I did not expect. Especially in this time period. And it follows your typical... Things go haywire, things don't go well, things ratchet up and get worse and worse. One of the reasons Johnny came back is because he liked this girl, Colby's daughter, and they seem friendly with each other. I thought there'd be a lot more scenes between the two. There's pretty much like a flashback. There's a scene where they meet, and then there's a scene where they're getting ready to get it on, and her dad comes in and whips the ever-loving shit out of Johnny. And then you find out certain things. You find out that she wrote to him and he wrote to her, but Colby took all the damn letters. Kind of like Robert Logan Over the Top with Stallone, took all the letters he wrote to his kid and stuff. Also, the girl was pregnant and was having a kid, but died in childbirth, and Johnny was never told that. The sheriff had to tell him that. And Johnny, like the actor playing Victor Mohica, I thought he did a really good job. He had definitely a lot of, I wouldn't say impulsive, but just, he had the energy, and I'm not going to take it anymore, I'm not going to be stepped on type of fire to him. I like some of his lines of dialogue. Like he's talking to the sheriff and going, "You got the balls of a mouse." Or someone goes, "You got a smart mouth." "Yeah, but I don't use it to kiss ass." So I like that stuff. And then you pretty much know where it's going. Things go to a tipping point until Johnny's finally getting his revenge on these people. Until you get to the final... I guess you would say confrontation. That's something that I appreciate, but I kind of I either wish they went a different way, or if they want to do it this way, they did it a bit better. I'll get to that. Because the ending left me a little bit flat, I will admit. It's a film that, yeah, it's nothing original. It's something you've seen plenty of times before. Films like First Blood did it better afterward. It does tie into the racism that a lot of Native Americans went through. I forget her name. There's a lady who plays a teacher. I believe it's the same lady. She's an actual Native American. I think she's the same lady that... Remember Marlon Brando won the Oscar, but he didn't pick it up? A Native American lady had to, and read a letter about the injustices of Native Americans and what they went through, and it's like 15 fucking pages long. Marlon Brando, once again, being a pretentious douche, obnoxious prick. I'm not a Marlon Brando fan. He's a good actor from time to time, but as a person, he seems like a pain in the fucking ass. Anyway, I believe that lady is the lady in here who plays this teacher, who Johnny knows. Try to see what... Okay, without spoilers, it was a good enough time if you're into these type of films, because I liked the acting. I thought the guy who played Johnny Firecloud, while he's not a Native American, I still liked his gusto and fire that he had. I thought the actor who played the sheriff did a good job, because, like I said, there's something about his character that's a bit interesting, which I'll get to, and he, I would say, had the toughest role to play. I think he pulled it off as best as he could with his director and script. Because I think this director produced like Ilsa, She-Wolf, the SS, or some other films of that nature. So there's definitely an exploitation flavor to this, where there is a sexual assault scene that happens to a lady. If you don't like that kind of stuff, you're not going to like this. I would say it's similar to what you would see in maybe Death Wish 2. So if it's one of those things you want to skip through it, I don't blame you. That's what I tend to do, because I don't like... The scenes serve the purpose of being an ugly sadist, because they are. It's just one of the most ugly things you could do. Doing stuff to little kids, murder, and rape. Three horrible things. And hurting animals. Worst things you could do. It's up there in the top 5. So it's one of those things that even if a simulator, I mean, again, it's meant to be repulsive. That's the thing. It's meant to be repulsive. But thankfully, it's not a 10-minute I spent on your grave scene. At least there's that. But it served its purpose. It did what it needed to do. I would say, like, if you're into these type of films, and if you don't watch the trailer, because the trailer gives pretty much all the kills away, yeah, it's worth the watch. It's entertaining for what it needed to be. I thought the actors did their jobs well. Didn't want to spoilers because of being so hazy and so obtuse with it. Spoilers starting now. What I was saying before, you go through the stuff where, again, the lead character is a Vietnam vet. He's in town. This lady he liked, try and deal with her. He gets found out. He just whipped the shit. He just put in jail for doing nothing. What you find out from the sheriff, he's like, I was in the army as well. And he hesitantly tells the story. But as he tells the story, you kind of get the gist of the sheriff is a closeted homosexual. But he's not being limp-wristed, he's not having a high-pitched voice, the stereotypes that was utilized a lot back in the day, sometimes even today. And he doesn't want that secret out. And Colby knows about it and holds it over his head. And that's what keeps him in this middle ground of, like, he doesn't want to be doing this, but at the same time he feels like he needs to do this because he doesn't want his secret out. And there's this bit where he tells a story and he goes and he sits at his desk and he's doing like this and he's doing like this, and you just feel the fighting in between him. And yeah, I thought the actor did a pretty good job. I could be wrong, I think the actor was in The Dirty Dozen. Don't quote me on that. Or maybe I'm thinking of the actor who played Colby. I can't remember. One of them was in The Dirty Dozen. But anyway, I know I should have looked it up and stuff. Hell, I'll just look it up now. Why not? Who played the sheriff in Johnny Firecloud? David Canary. And David Canary, I want to see, because Ralph Meeker, he plays the bad guy, Colby. David Canary sadly passed away 2015. He was on the TV show All My Children. Man, 1,385 episodes? Jesus. Or maybe it was the other guy. So, okay, maybe it was the other guy who was in. Because it seemed like he was in TV episodes of Gunsmoke, Hawaii Five-0, Bonanza, episode Kung Fu, Shark's Treasure. So sorry, it must have been the other guy. Yeah, it just shows TV work mostly that he did. This is like one of the few movies he did. So it must have been the other guy. It must have been the bad guy who was in Dirty Dozen. So, yeah, sorry about that. That's why I want to double check. But yeah, David Canary. Thought he did a really good job as the sheriff. Thought this was an interesting take to put onto a character. And I said this is spoilers. What happens is the rednecks assholes mess with the lead guy's grandfather. They're going to hang him, but they're not. They're scaring him. But something happens. The truck accidentally goes forward, and the grandfather gets hung. Also, the teacher, that lady gets sexually assaulted. And Johnny finds her, and she's dead of her wounds. She says a few things to Johnny, then she dies. And then he's going to be on the warpath. No pun intended. Now, I do wish with the sheriff they had the character showcase his more anger towards Colbury and these other guys because of the death of this teacher and find out the death of this guy's grandfather. So to show like he's still afraid of his secret coming out, but he's still not happy with these people and angry with these people. I wish they showed more of that. To show even more of this kind of split tug of war between him and his mind, body, and soul. I would say his deputy probably showed that more than him. And I don't think that's the actor's fault. I think that's the script's fault. So I think that would have helped the character even more. Because there's points I'm like, I mean, should I really care about this sheriff character? I mean, like this lady got raped and killed, and, you know, the grandfather got killed, and it seems like you don't really give a shit. Shouldn't you give a little bit more of a shit? The deputy does. So I think that it would have been nice, hell, to not even have the deputy at all. Have the sheriff do what the deputy did. I don't even think you need the deputy. Just have the sheriff, how the deputy reacted, have the sheriff do that. I didn't have more of that tug of war, you know, within his soul type of thing. I think that would have made the character even more interesting. And then pretty much good chunk of the movie is the warpath, is the revenge, which was fun to watch. It's funny, there was this, I don't know if I can find it again, but there was a snippet online where this just got released somewhere with commentary with the director and also Frank Henenlotter, the director of Brain Damage and Basket Case, because he's a fan of the film. And he mentions, oh man, this guy, I can't like this guy anymore because he becomes so psycho. It's funny, like the director's trying to argue it, and I'm like, number one, Frank Henenlotter, I mean, he's not really against the blood, but it's like, dude, you made Basket Case and stuff. Brain Damage. On the flip side, also, not even on the flip side, look what happened to this guy. He got whipped to shit. His grandfather got hung in front of him because he was in a jail and he could see and he couldn't do anything. And this woman he knew got plowed forcefully and died. Killed. Murdered. What this guy does afterward, have no qualms about it. Sorry, Frank. But one guy, you see the beginning, he's going to scalp the guy. Then it's revealed later he tumbles to like a church, and you see that he's been scalped. Nice effect for 1975. There's a bit where he throws a hatchet and it gets into a guy's head. I'm guessing this is why sometimes it's labeled as a horror movie. There's a couple of gory bits. George Butt Flower, he captures and ties him up and puts snakes over his head in a bag so the rattlesnakes can bite him and kill him. One guy he ties up in a trailer and has some dynamite and blows him up. One gets buried up to his neck in sand. And you don't see the act, but you see the aftermath that his eyes have been plucked out. Did decent little gory aftermath effects. And then he finds Colby and he whips the shit out of him. Sally doesn't kill him because someone comes, he's got to leave. The daughter's had enough and she leaves. Why she doesn't try to get to Johnny, I don't know why. Because if she loves the guy and thinks the guy didn't do anything wrong, I don't know why she doesn't try to find Johnny and I love him. And I mean, you try to have sex before and he got whipped to shit out of him. Why all of a sudden now you don't want to try to find, be with Johnny? But it doesn't seem like she hates him or anything. She just finds someone to hitchhike and leaves. Because she's not going to deal with her dad anymore, which good for her. Maybe she knows, maybe she, doesn't want this to be death wish, where if you get close to this guy, you're going to die. That's what happened to Paul Kersey. Everyone who got close to Paul Kersey, and then he did more and more sequels, everybody died. You're his daughter, you're his girlfriend, you're his pup named Scooby-Doo that he adopted, you're going to die. You don't die. Just Paul Kersey, just stay away from him. So maybe she knew he could be that Native American Paul Kersey. He's like, nah, I'm not going to stay with him because I don't want to die. Maybe that's why. And then the confrontation is more of a verbal confrontation. The sheriff and Johnny Firecloud. He's got the gun on him, and Johnny Firecloud's talking, saying something about forgive yourself. Being a bit too vague, and I think I get what they're going for. That the sheriff hates himself because of who he is or because of the circumstances, and he kind of has to admit who he is, because Johnny keeps asking, what are you? What are you? He's Batman. No. That'd be funny if just yelled, I'm a maggot! But it's not maggot, it's the F. That'd be pretty funny, because it's the 70s. They said that word from time to time. I'm a or I'm a fairy. I'm a fucking fairy fucking. I'm a fucking fairy. But that'd be more funny than anything. But no, he just throws the gun away, then gives Johnny the water and his backpack. You think you can make it out? I could try. So the idea just says Johnny Firecloud left, and the sheriff, I don't know what he's doing. I guess he's gonna go back and face the music and. But that's the thing, I get what they're going for, but I think this finale needed a bit more spice to the writing. It needed a little bit more finesse to the writing. It feels like deep themes of a guy accepting who he is, his homosexuality, whatever the case. I'm not going to be afraid anymore. I'm not going to be scared anymore. So it should have been either he goes up to Colby and he smacks him in the face and he quits his job, or something else. Or maybe the sheriff lets Johnny kill the guy, Colby, or something. Because the way it ended, it just... I get what they're going for, but the guy... You needed a director, like a Michael Mann type of director, or something like that really could have honed in that emotional... I think of the ending of Heat, and that moment that the two share with each other, or Collateral even, Jamie Foxx, Tom Cruise. Those had... There's a bit of action in the confrontation, but not a ton of action, but a little bit. you need something like that. You need some guy like that. You need a director, a writer who to really make that go full force into a home run. So to me, the intention's there, and I get what they're going for, but it just fell a bit too flat. Just again, I think Johnny Firecloud was being a bit too vague. I think audiences would be just a bit. I think they even mentioned on that commentary, audiences were just kind of silent because they were kind of confused. I don't think that was really the best reaction. First Blood did that better. Nothing is over. And then you have his breakdown and then accepting to go to jail, and made sense for that film. I would not want him to go to jail in this one, but it just needs something a bit extra. It needs something a bit extra. Colby, he needed more of a comeuppance, an actual comeuppance. I don't like that he just pretty much got away with it. Got whipped to shit, but got away with it. And the sheriff, I wish we could have seen a little bit more of, after the teacher's been killed, him a bit more unwilling. Still pulling different directions, but unwilling to deal with Colby's bullshit. The bad guy's bullshit. If a few bit of those were fixed, I would like it even more. Baz is, I liked it for what it was. That was pretty decent. And definitely worth the watch again if you're into these kind of films. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. Thanks once again, Flonzobomb, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye for now.